Ozzy Osbourne, the Prince of Darkness, the original hell-raising wild man of rock and roll, a true legend and pioneer, but sometimes Ozzy's offstage antics are what he's remembered for, and in today's episode of The Rock Crew, we look at Ozzy's top 5 wildest moments. Number 1. The Dove. In 1980, Ozzy was looking to start his solo career. After being sacked from Black Sabbath, Ozzy was left in a state of self-destruction. Thinking life was over, he was on a downward spiral, until his future wife and manager, Sharon, called around on the orders of her father, and Black Sabbath's manager, Don Arden. Sharon took pity on Ozzy and offered to help him get his life back on track. Trying to get Ozzy a record deal, though, was a lot harder than she'd first thought. After many companies refusing to meet with the singer, it was CBS that gave him a chance. At the meeting, Sharon thought it would be a good PR stunt for Ozzy to release some white doves. But Ozzy, being Ozzy, had been on a bender and was off his head when he entered the room. As Osbourne recalls, "I remember this PR woman going on and on at me. In the end I said, 'Do you like animals?' Then I pulled out one of these doves and bit his head off, just to shut her up. Then I did it again with the next one, spitting the head out on the table, and the woman fell on the floor screaming. That's when they threw me out. They said I'll never work for CBS again. Fortunately, this wasn't the end for Ozzy." Number 2. The Alamo. The Alamo was never the same after one night in 1982, February the 19th to be exact. Osbourne had been on bender after bender in the early 80s, and to try and control the wild man, Sharon had decided to hide his clothes to stop him from going out drinking. But Ozzy had other ideas. He found one of Sharon's dresses and headed out. After a night of heavy drinking, Oz needed to relieve himself and went to the nearest wall. But when a policeman tapped him on the shoulder, to his surprise he found out he was urinating on the prestigious Alamo. Oz found himself spending the night in jail and getting banned from San Antonio. Thankfully he is now welcomed back after an apology. Number 3. Motley Crue. In 1984, Ozzy was at the peak of his self-destruction. After the loss of his friend and guitarist Randy Rhoads, Ozzy threw himself into drink and drugs and a new album. Ozzy took the young Hellraisers Motley Crue on tour to support him. This, however, was not a good combination for those around. Motley were desperate to impress their idols and they decided to engage in every debauched antic going. But it was Nikki Sixx who decided to play a game of one-upmanship with Ozzy, and as the band rolled into the Holiday Inn one afternoon after being up on an all-nighter, Ozzy decided to relieve himself poolside. After he was done, he decided to get on his hands and knees and lapped it up. Not wanting to be outdone, Nikki Sixx proceeded to copy. Before he could get down to the puddle, Ozzy was already there, on his knees, to lick up Nikki's stream. This tour was infamous, and I only wish there was footage. Number 4. The Bat. Ozzy already had previous when it came to animal heads, but one night in Iowa, on the Die of a Madman tour, he struck again. On the tour, Ozzy had the idea of having a catapult that launched raw meat into the crowd. Rumour of this got around and the audience decided to partake in the antics and started bringing their own meat to throw. But this night a fan had decided to bring a live bat, and as they threw it on stage, the lights and flashing dazzled the bat and it led lifeless on the stage. Ozzy, thinking it was a toy, picked it up and bit into the head. Instantly realising it was actually a real bat, he threw it down, spitting the head out. Unfortunately, bats carry rabies, and this led to Ozzy having to endure many painful injections after the incident. Luckily, he didn't catch rabies. Number 5. The Moscow Music Peace Festival. In 1989, the Moscow Music Peace Festival was an event to promote anti-drink and drugs. Put on by infamous manager Doc McGee, it was part of his terms not to go to jail after being caught in possession of marijuana. This memo didn't get given to the bands though, as nearly everybody on the plane ride over there seemed to be having the time of their intoxicated lives. Especially Ozzy, who drank his weight in booze and indulged in whatever else was going on. Ozzy managed to wet himself in the whole charade. Luckily for him, his wife Sharon anticipated the event and produced a spare pair of pants out of her bag for the singer. The concert did, however, introduce the Russian audience to heavy metal and inspired the Scorpions song Wind of Change. You can find footage of the plane ride and concert as it was documented by MTV, a definite watch. Thanks for tuning in and please like and subscribe to this week's episode of The Rock Crew.